biologically males is that your ministry tend to focus on the biologically female issues to our neglect. Will you consider a policy change that your programs from the gender ministry will also take into consideration issues concerning us? Yeah, especially us. Thank you. Especially those of us who are beaten at home.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I can sum up the Affirmative Action Act as a corrective measure. And so where there's an imbalance, whether it is skewed towards men or skewed towards women, whoever is disadvantaged, I believe that the Act is going to support with proper implementation to correct it. So you have no fears at all. Thank you.
It's refreshing to hear that. Now, let me move to the specifics. Sanitary pad distributions among our school children, adolescents, was such a key policy and during GM1, and it was truncated, but it features in our manifesto again. Statistics point to the fact that a lot of adolescent school-going girls refuse to go to school when they are in that critical time of the month, and it affects their studies and output in school. Will you consider rolling this out vigorously, especially in the rural areas, like my constituency in South Dine? As an MP, I spend a lot in procuring this to give to our girls, and periodically. And it's become so costly. The parts are so costly. What will your ministry do in this regard?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this is a conversation we have to be having until we get a law to waive off some of the taxes and then ensure that we also plan and budget for it for women and girls to have adequate protection, because the lack of funding or support to procure sanitary pads has further made girls more vulnerable in society, in the sense that UNFPA can tell you that they have data that shows that there's most girls fall prey to men who can provide sanitary pads for them. And it is also because of the poverty situation some or most people find themselves. If you have to choose between feeding the family or placing a meal on the table for the family and then providing sanitary pad for a girl, I think most family will go for the meal because that is survival for them. Since it is a biological issue, whether you are male or female, you are affected one way or the other. I think we need to have this discussion very passionately and then find a way out. But in the meantime, whilst we haven't waived off the taxes to ensure that it is affordable to all, we have to find a way of making sure that we can supply to especially the underprivileged, like your constituents, like my constituents and all others. And then they will also have some leverage so that that support can go a long way to minimize their vulnerability in such times. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chairman, finally, yes, let me dovetail this to your recent answer. Will you consider liaising with the minister responsible for finance in getting a bill, as it were, to actually deal with the tax waiver issues that you speak, especially for companies that are set up locally and are into the manufacture and production of these parts for our girls? Not only tax waivers for, but specifically to encourage companies who are locally established to produce this on massive scale to support our girls?
I will surely do that. There's an ongoing conversation, so I will build on that. Thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. I will now give the floor to Honorable Rickett.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. And nominee, Honorable Agnes Naumomulati. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Using through your CV, your background and experience suggests to me that you're actually a good fit for the ministry that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama has posted you to. And I have no doubt in my mind that you will succeed at that ministry. I'm not going to ask you a question, but a word of advice. Having had the opportunity for the last 8 years or 12 years to serve on that committee, gender committee, and at some stage with yourself, there have been challenges, particularly in the last 8 years, to do with relationships between ministers, suppliers, ministers, deputy ministers, and all that. And that has created a lot of problems in terms of moving that ministry forward. I'm not going to ask you the strategies you will adopt, because the problems could be many and will require some more multifaceted approach. But just to caution you that you've got to do everything possible to make sure that you keep a good relationship with your subordinates, your suppliers, and whoever is helping you to build that ministry. But I wish you well, and I know you will be successful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will now give the floor to the ranking member in Minority Leader.
Chairman, thank you. Honorable nominee, let me commend you for your nomination.
Thank you.
If you have your CV by you, I'm sure you are very familiar with it. So going to page 2 of your CV, consultant, ECOWAS in-country experts, Children and Street Project, November 20th to December 1st, 2017. I find the description of your job title quite interesting. And I wish to know from you, for the period of work you have done, are there any lessons Children on the Street Project? Are there any lesson you find relevant that you can imbibe that will be contextualized into your ministry if we grant you passage? Any key lessons?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think one of the, anyway, in the first place, that was the title, the technical title of the position or the job. One of the key things and key lessons, if I have to sum it up, is the fact that there's a thin line between being okay and being vulnerable. And one of the things that we overlook is that vulnerability can come from separation or divorce, and also non-maintenance. That is lack of child maintenance. And so most of the children on the street are from broken homes, and some of them are there with single parents. And so the issue of supporting families to survive, have proper income earning activities to relieve them of their vulnerability is important. And then day after day, we need to also ensure that what we know as Africans, the larger family system, we continue to practice it because it helps. Where you hold each other's hands when you nap, you know that your auntie is still your mom and your uncle is your dad. So that in terms of issues of separation, you'll be able to count on somebody to stay off the street.
Mr. Chair, will the nominee be gracious enough to tell me or to tell Ghanaians what your manifesto hopes to achieve in this context?
Thank you very much. I think one of the key things that the manifesto proposes is to have the orphan and vulnerable child support scheme. And it's one of the protective means for children and orphans. And so with this scheme, there will be a special purpose vehicle that will support children in ensuring that they are safe. Not just orphans, but also children who fall prey to child trafficking. And so in the manifesto, you realize that we are going to work to develop a framework to ensure the safety of the vulnerable and also provide support for reintegration and all that. And so that is, in summation, what the manifesto talks about.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. It's good you spoke to the summary of it, but I want you to flesh it up. The support for the vulnerable child, how, in terms of its implementation, how are you going to ensure its implementation devoid of partisanship? You are going to be there, your party people are going to come with all manner of applications. How are you going to do it to ultimately achieve an approach which will not be partisan or tainted with partisan coloration?
Honorable, let's get the question clear. Is it Ghanaians who are going to go there with a plane or party people?
Chairman, I'm sure you listen to me. What I meant to convey the nominee is, and be very practical, it's coming on a ticket of a political party. And she has already admitted that it's one of the policy directives in the manifesto that vulnerable children will be supported. Honorable nominee, am I right?
Yes, sir.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
Yes. So my question is, how practical could you or will you be able to ensure this is done, devoid of partisanship? That's what I said.
Yes, I now you can go ahead and answer the question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think for me, everybody who knows me will tell you that I first of all see a person as a person devoid of partisan coloration. So if I'm supposed to serve a particular group of people, yes, Mr. Chairman, for this, you realize that it will be based on need assessment. So if I have people who plainly everybody knows that are from my party, who don't.
So, I want you, my good friend, let me test your understanding. Don't worry, I'll be brief. Just be relaxed, you'll be fine. Your understanding on the school feeding project, you know, its antecedents and the tortoise path we've traveled to where we are now. What is your appreciation of the high points and low points of the school feeding project?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think the school feeding program is something that all of us appreciate, because if a child is not properly fed, it affects the concentration in class. And so for the highs, I would say it's a good project that we intend to improve on. The other side of it is the processes leading to the feeding, ensuring that there's quality and also accessibility and timeliness in terms of the supply is also very important. And so these are areas that I will look at improving and then adding on. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, you have touched on the quality and also timely delivery. I couldn't agree more with you. What is your assessment of the current situation?
Part of my life is also in local governance, and so it comes with decentralization. And I believe that if we are able to effectively decentralize the feeding program, as we are also looking at, it will help us to ensure that it is supplied on time, the food items are supplied on time, and then also we can keep an eye on the quality from the district level. And so I'll be glad to sit with all stakeholders involved to look at how this implementation will work out so that the beneficiaries have the best of it. And then also support those who are the service providers to do what is right. Thank you.
I am aware the...
Honorable, that should be the last question. Thank you.
You don't want me to bring the best out of the nominee. You have already told me that I have 6 questions, and for each of the 6 questions, I have potential follow-ups. No. Oh, Chairman, don't do that.
That is not the case.
Okay,
Honorable
no
member, when we agreed on something, let's go by what we have agreed upon. So you have one more question.
You know,
yes, yes.
I have one more and potential follow-up.
Yes.
Oh. Honorable nominee, your party's manifesto eloquently speaks to Women's Development Bank. I'm curious about that. What is it modeled on? Is it just an idea you thought you can implement, or there are models across the world that we can all buy into and say that these are practical examples that we can appropriate into our situation? Women's Development Bank. And don't you consider it, with respect to our women here, don't you consider it a discriminatory, where you don't have a counterpart, Men's Development Bank, but rather Women's Development Bank? You are supposed to, your ministry is supposed to look at both sex.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I think, like I stated earlier, when you look at it critically, the traditional banks or banking system serves men the best. So there's an already existing financial support base that serves the interest of men more than women. I also stated that most of the women are in the informal sector, where we don't have the collateral where we cannot afford the high interest rates that are being charged in the traditional banking system. And so this is something that will go a long way to help. And I'm glad, and I know the people of Ghana are also glad. And when they see it, will also be glad to see it implemented. I said earlier that my ministry the ministry is one of those that are actually intersectorial. So we depend on other ministries when it comes to things like this. And so the finance ministry is heavy on this, and I'm sure that the needed guidance is given by the finance ministry, and then we will be the end beneficiaries of it. Thank you.
I would have wished to ask you a follow-up, which I know
Please.
will bring the best out of you. Unfortunately, the chairman says no, so I'll respect the directive of the chairman.
Thank you very much. I will proceed to take a question from Dr. Grace Ayen Sudankwa.
Thank you very much. Honorable Agnes Namomo, I'm so happy to see you here today.
Thank you.
I think you're one of the nominees that when I heard it, I was so excited. So thank you for being here. And also I'd like to commend you for your answers, your depth of knowledge of your sector, and some of the answers you've given here is exactly what we want to hear. As a gender advocate myself, I'm so proud to see you here. My question goes to the school feeding again. The people of Iskado Ketana just came back yesterday, and they are asking, when will the school feeding start? Number two, the more important question is, I want to go back to the quality of the food. You know, the school-aged children are the most vulnerable because they are growing. Their bodies are still growing, and specifically their brains are still growing. So it's very important, as a surgeon specialist myself, that we give them a nutritious and a balanced diet.
Doc, your question, please.
Yes, I'm asking it. As we have seen, the food is not very nutritious. So what will you do to ensure that the food is balanced and nutritious? Thank you.
Thank you.
On the promotion of the proper human rights, proper human sexual rights and the Ghanaian Family Values Bill.
That is 3 questions, but I will allow the nominee to answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With respect to what the President Donald Trump has stated, I believe that I go by what the Constitution of Ghana says. I think that as the Constitution stands, and as the voices of the people of Ghana has loudly declared, there's no way I can go contrary to that. I'm a representative of them. And I think the President has also clearly stated his stand. And one of the things, beyond even the inaction of the law, one of the things is to also ensure that we imbibe it into.
On your profile, you have indicated that you're involved in children's rights, education, and health issues. Can you elaborate on this for me?
Thank you, Mr. I've had the privilege of volunteering and also for various non-governmental organizations. I can mention 2 for development. I can mention Global Initiative on Development. I can mention the Foundation and a couple of others, including international organizations, Universal. But I've also had the privilege of consulting along the line for Accolade Ghana. And so a couple of the organizations have worked on DFID projects on and so forth. So at every event, I've had the opportunity to support one advocacy issue or the other, whether locally or internationally. And so that has built my experience in child advocacy. And I'm not a legal person, I'm, you know, then it's giving me an open into what to expect or what to do under every given situation. Thank you.
You've stated your name full as Agnes Momolate.
Yes, sir.
You've also stated your date of birth to be 16th of April 1976.
Yes, sir.
Place of birth, Nungwa, Accra.
Yes, sir.
Hometown, Nungwa, Accra.
Yes, sir.
How did you derive this hometown, Nungwa?
Mr. Chair, per my basic knowledge, my hometown is where I believe I come from, and so I'm Asian. My parents are both from Ngwa, and I'm a Ghana, and so that's why I stayed there.
So just for the avoidance of doubt, mommy is from,
Yes, sir.
daddy is from Nungwa.
Yes, sir.
Now, I remember my respected colleague, Roxanne Echeviamepo, greeted you language. I'm quite familiar with the Ghana language. I didn't think that was a language. Ghana. What language was that, please?
That was Dangbe.
Are you a Dang?
No, sir, but I'm in a close relation to Dangbe, so I'm a Dangbe, I'm a Ghana, but it's close language.
I want to have clarity. Are you speak the Dangbe language or you are partly from the Dangbe area?
Mr. Chairman, if you, the language is spoken, that is not there. I have the basic knowledge to, let me say, understand it, small. And then when you ask me things like what the honorable asked, I can respond. So that's just my understanding of it.
Fair enough. So you don't speak Dangbe?
I don't.
Very well. Still on page 1 of your CV. Let's first deal with your leadership. I read MPhil leadership, University of National Studies, Accra, September 2014 to March 2017. Full stop. Next line. Research. Column. Women participating in leadership. Column. Challenges and progress to the development of Leisure Kuku Pro-War Municipal Assembly. Dash June 2017. I have 2 for you there. 1. How was this M program structured? And I'll give you a guide to assist you in the answer I'm going to give. Was this course structured in a thoughts in part and research in part, or it was without a taught aspect. Was it a full-time MPhil program?
A full-time, but in evenings.
Now, the thought of the program, was it for the first year?
Yes, sir.
Right. Within this period that you were going through this thoughts program, the 1 year, you're also working.
Yes. Yes.
So when you say full-time work, are you referring to PM?
Sir. Or sometimes I start at 6.
Year 2.
Research topic for assessment. Once it is approved, you sign your personnel, submit to your supervisor. They go through it, and then you go ahead to the field to administer. And then once gone through everything, you are granted the opportunity to defend. And then once defended, you graduate.
So you've indicated that you ended the program March 2017.
Yes,
Then
sir.
you have also indicated that your research work you submitted June 2017. Please, can you clarify?
There was a bit of a delay. When I was doing the MPhil, I had then applied to Legon, University of Ghana. In fact, it was one of the reasons why I went in for the MPhil, so that it's close to the University of Ghana. Within the period, the PhD program got structured from a 3-year course to a 4-year course. So the waiting period was when I decided to undertake this course. So if you look at it critically, you realize that my final year, that was in 2014, I had to juggle between going for the PhD class and then also doing finishing up my research work.
Honorable colleagues, respectfully, it couldn't have been that your final year. It couldn't have been, because if you look at the same CV, the PhD, you've written PhD, Institute of African Studies. And by the way, before I proceed, bear with me. You know, the enterprise we undertake here is a perception-driven enterprise. When you go all calmly, the perception is that we are treating you with kid gloves. if we ask you very strong questions, it is also seen as we being too hard. But I would manage myself, and I don't intend to be very personal, okay? Just understand me, that
Yes, sir.
you are a witness in the box who must answer necessary questions. We are politicians, and we have the public that wants to understand certain perspectives. So I'm limiting myself to the policy issue. PhD, Institute of African Studies, University of Ghana, Legon, September 2014 to December 2020. So if you say that in your final year you had issues, it couldn't have been, because you see, you started MPhil and PhD at the same time. I find that very curious. So it wasn't the case that there was, when you were about finishing one, you started the other. And that is why you had some delay. I want you to have an opportunity to clarify.
Thank you. With the MPhil, I actually started the MPhil somewhere 2013, and the PhD was in 2014. The MPhil coursework was supposed to be...
Honorable Member, would you...
Please, Honorable Leader, let's take the answer, then you can do a follow-up. Thank you very much.
Chairman, with respect, as much as possible, I don't want to get into the ocean. I want to guide her. I'll give the same protection you give her. So please, when I want to allow that. But if you want to open it up, I don't mind. Honorable Member, would you want to amend your CV on that aspect, just for the record, so that we don't go deep and deep again? Page 1, I mean, on the start date, would you want to amend your CV?
Yes, sir.
Very well. I yield to Chairman for you to apply for his leave to amend, then I can proceed. Thank you.
Please go ahead and do the amendment.
The MPhil program was somewhere 2013. I was trying to be specific, but the MPhil program is somewhere 2013.
When in 2013, because it's an academic year, it starts from a point. When in 2013, respectfully?
I have September on record, and so
we maintain
I want
the
to,
September.
Yes, I want
and
to.
And then just amend the year.
Yes, please.
Very well. Any further amendment, please? No, we are staying there for a moment.
Okay.
So I just want you to have the opportunity. Apart from the year, the 2013, we are now maintaining the September. So the start date.
The start date, the completion date is not in doubt.
Okay, so you are not changing the completion date?
No, the completion date is not in doubt.
Very well. So let's go to the PhD. Are you maintaining the start date for the PhD as well, and the completion date for the PhD as well?
Yes, sir.
Very well. Now, honorable colleague, do you have your certificate for the MPhil, please?
Yes, please.
What is the date on it for the graduation? The date of the certificate?
20th June 2017.
Now, when you submit your thesis, it has to be assessed. You need some period to defend it.
Yeah.
And when you submitted your thesis for the MPhil, how long did it take you to defend it? The supervisors, how long did it take them to get back to you that you have marked your thesis and everything was okay? Was it a month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 week, 3 days, 1 day?
For the MPhil, I will not have a clear period, but I know that it was between 2 months or 3 months. I can't recollect.
So let's take the minimum of 2 months, the one you recollect. Now, having told this committee that upon submission, it took 2 months for your assessors to get back to you. At least we use the 2 months. Check again on your CV and the certificate you have. Would you want to take chairman's leave to amend your records again? Thank you.
I'm going by what is on the certificate that 20th June 2017. That is what I have here.
My respected colleague, you had in an earlier answer submitted for records that you were done your program in March 2017, but your thesis delayed. So you submitted your thesis in June of 2017. In fact, that is what you stated here, that your project work research you submitted June 2017. You have a moment ago also indicated that when you submit your project work, your thesis, it takes about 2 to 3 months. Now here is...
Or more.
Or more, very well, that's okay. I just wanted to use the minimum where you remember. Now, if you submit your thesis in June, and the assessor is going to take 2 months minimum to look at it, mark, get an external assessor to also look at it, which means that in June when you submitted, you'd have July and you would have August, okay? Minimum. You cannot graduate in June 2017 and have a certificate which says you have MPhil, you've earned an MPhil in June 2017. It's the reason why I ask you again. Sometimes we all forget. Sometimes we want to be given the chance. It could be that whoever typed your CV made some mistakes. We all give instructions to our secretaries, type this for me. But I understand, as an administrator, a leader, there are some errors. So I'm giving you one more opportunity. Would you want to take chairman's leave to amend those records also? Because this is going into public records. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Let me also state that, Mr. Chairman, the 20th June 2017 is the day after graduation when I was given the certificate, but the submission was in 2016. So most often you realize that the year, depending on how soon you submit your project work or thesis, you might not graduate in the same year. And so it is when I was given the certificate that is being referred to here.
Okay, honorable colleague, let's take it step by step. So when did you submit your thesis to UPSA? Which date did you submit your thesis to UPSA?
The submission date, unless I check, but I can assure you that...
Don't worry, I would take it that would come back if you want to come back.
No, leader.
Well, leader,
Okay.
with all due respect, let's abide by the rules. If a question is asked, kindly allow the witness to place the answer on record. Then you can follow up with another question. where the witness is in the process, or the nominee is in the process of answering the question, then you come in to say, no, 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 honorable leader. With all due respect, I do not think that is the way we should go. So kindly allow the witness to place the answer on record so that the clerks will be able to pick the answer on the record. Then you can follow up. Thank you very much.
When did you submit your MPhil dissertation?
In 2016.
Your MPhil program at UPSA, when did it start and when did it end?
Mr. Chairman, I stated earlier that the MPhil program started somewhere 2013, and the completion, when I said completion, including graduation, was around 2017. If you check the records, I did not even graduate with my colleagues. So I stayed, I had a year delay or some months or something delay, but I submitted in 2016.
There is a difference between graduation and submission, which would conclude the program. When did you complete your MPhil program?
I completed in 2016.
Do you remember the month?
No, sir.
Now, honorable colleague, let's go to your PhD. What was your area of research?
I was at the Institute of African Studies, and I looked at the relationship between traditional and local authorities in the management of natural resources, and I had a case study of beaches in Accra.
Can you elaborate on the subject area?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It was basically looking at the commoditization of beaches. And so we all know that aside the beauty or the recreational value of beaches or natural resources, there's the commercial aspect of it. So basically looking at the challenges in managing natural resources, whether it's traditional authorities or the conflicts that emanates from the management of natural resources, such as the beaches.
When you say natural resources such as the beaches, management of natural resources such as, so your research, what did you eventually uncover in terms of the natural resources that you're referring to? I just want you to situate it in a manner that the ordinary person would appreciate exactly what you did.
So it's a qualitative study that sought the perceptions of people in terms of how beaches are managed, and then also the commercial value of it, the challenges that comes out of it, and then the possible balance in terms of how the beaches can be managed to elicit the best out of it in terms of value to the nation, and then the people who are the custodians of it, how the various stakeholders and players in the field can collaborate.
Have you shared the outcome of your work with the tourism authority or the district assemblies to enable them sift out some best practices as a guide?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've not had opportunity yet. I clearly recollect that I was in Parliament when I had to prepare for my Viva. So that was quite a tense moment for me. And afterwards, it's been community engagement and parliamentary work. So I'm yet to sit and then properly look at it. But I have plans of working with my supervisor to ensure that some quality work is done so that the lessons and publications can go to the various. I'll look at the tourism minister, sit with her, look at some of lessons and how best she can inculcate them, and we can learn.
When you say you sit with your supervisor to ensure that some quality work is done, what exactly do you mean?
We have plans of doing some joint publications, and so I'll lean on that.
Thank you. Please, let's go to page 2 of your CV. On page 2, you have primary school, Teshin Estate Preparatory School, 1981 to 1986. Then we have ordinary level certificate, Nungwa Secondary School, Accra, September 1988 to June 1993. I presume you did a common entrance?
No, sir.
Okay. So explain to us, from primary school, you have a gap of 2 years. So the 86, 87. So there's no school within that 2 years. Then you come to 1988 to 93, which is 5 years, Form 1 to Form 5. So can you explain to us what you did, what schooling you had between that period that your records do not reflect same, please?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Within that 2-year period, there was the new system, which is the JHS. And so having an uncle who is a teacher, he was also an advisor to my father. And so they looked at the benefits of joining the new system. What is missing is that I went to try the new system. And then my uncle moved on to a secondary school called Presby Secondary School. And my dad felt there was I was too comfortable there, so I had to try first year of secondary school at Presby Commercial. And so I went to first year. I didn't write a common entrance. I went to secondary school first year at where we call Preseco. I did 2 terms there before going to Nungwa Secondary School.
So you went to Nungwa Secondary School without common entrance, in other words?
I went to Nungwa Secondary School with a certificate from Presby Secondary School.
What certificate?
I did my first year at Presby Secondary School. First
year of JHS or JSS, you mean?
First year of GCE.
Oh, very well. So you mean you had a transfer?
Sir.
Okay. So that is what is missing. That is creating that 2-year gap.
Yes, sir.
Very well. But then if you had done a first year already and you did a transfer, that suggests that you go to Form 2. Or do you repeated year 1 again?
Yes, I did. I actually did 2 terms for the first year. I joined them in second year. And so when I got to Nungwa Secondary School, I had a...
Yeah.
Yes.
Very well. So you mean going to Preseco, you entered Preseco year 1 with a common entrance?
Entered Presecco from class 6. I entered Presecco.
They were doing the JSS, the new system, you mean?
Presecco was not doing the new system. Presecco was doing the old system.
That is the O level?
Yes.
So you entered Presecco without writing the common
When
entrance?
I was about going to JHS, because I tried the new system, if you remember, I narrated how I tried the new system. And then when my uncle moved on, so I moved with him. So I didn't write the common entrance or the JHS.
Very well. I'll leave that. You've also indicated you did MA, Human Resource Development,
Yes,
University
sir.
of Cape Coast, from September 2003 to March 2005.
Yes,
Is
sir.
there any part of it that you would want to take the leave of chairman to amend those records there before I proceed with some questions?
It was a sandwich program.
When did you graduate?
MA was from 2000 and I graduated in 2005. In fact, it was a one-year course, and so it was supposed to be 2004.
Honorable Member, so would you want to take the leave of Mr. Chair to amend your records, please?
Having stated it was 2004, leave is accordingly granted.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now, you indicated earlier that as General Secretary of NALAG, it was a full-time employment. If you come to page 3, where, excuse me, not page 3, sorry, you've talked about your leadership, page 8. So let's reconcile page 3 and page 8. You also indicate there that you were page 9, rather, go back to page 9. Let's start with page 9. So let's reconcile page 3 and page 9. So second vice president and general secretary. The general secretary bit, you say full-time employment. That has come under your employment history. And then when you come to the second vice president, that is under membership/leadership. So what do you have to say to both?
The second vice bit is an elected position. And so I contested that before becoming the general secretary.
Okay. Is there anything you would want to amend?
Page 9?
Well, on both pages, I mean, look carefully. We'll skip that, and maybe later you can take chair's leave to check. I just don't want to.
Page 9?
Yeah, 9 and 3. Okay, so just check that, and we'll come back to it. Anyway, my colleague Ahmed Shaib Jerry had referred to President Trump's inaugural address, where he stated that the policy of the United States under his administration will change in a definition of gender, that a man will be a man, a woman, the very natural state. Do you share in this opinion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Like I earlier said, it's in line with our constitution, and so I share in that.
Very well. You were in Parliament between 2021 and 2025 January 6th. That is the 8th Parliament. You were, per
Yes,
your record.
sir.
That's a fact. Now, you are aware that some of our colleagues took the view that Ghana would have to legislate, that in view of that, the law was passed.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Right. So let me pick your thoughts on this, because you are going into a ministry that is likely to take up this matter. His Excellency, the President of the Republic, has shared some views. One of it was to the effect that our value system in our schools has broken down. Our value system has broken down. And should we tackle our value system and reintroduce our value system in our schools, and the children are able to pick these up, perhaps there will be no need at all to even legislate on it. What is your view on this?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think I had indicated to our colleague that for the legal aspect, where I think because you referred to that one, he went into asking whether it would be without the law. I said I leave that, or if the law had to, go through the process all over again. I left that to the legal brains. But as to teaching the children our family value system, I think there will be no Ghanaian here who wouldn't want that. All of us would want our kids to be identified with their Ghanaianness, if there's anything like that. So that if you teach, I said that was more sustainable, so that they identify who they are, and then they will take a decision when there's right or wrong. They will be able to know who they are, and that will define them.
So,
if it is imbibed in our children from a younger age, it will help.
Honorable, I know I'm staying a bit longer with you, but bear with me. The practice since 1997 has always been that members of the committee get 3 questions and have opportunity to get follow-up questions as it pleases the chair. The leader, being the ranking, by practice since 97 through to Honorable Che Mensah, Honorable Bagbin, Honorable Harun Edrusu, and now my time, is that leaders have unlimited, because we have a duty to ask broader questions and policy. So please don't be what I will end very soon, okay? I just want us to appreciate that. It's not that I'm saying too long with you, but it's the work I have to do. And I don't mean going personally or delaying you. I just need to understand some broader issues for your own good. Is that okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But leader, take into consideration she's a member of your committee.
Honorable, you were an assembly, you were a presiding member. Were you an elected presiding member, elected assembly member, or you were a government appointee?
I was a government appointee.
Your NDC manifesto. This women banking policy, what really is your understanding of it?
Thank you very much.
Let me have clarity, because the ordinary Ghanaian woman will be interested in this matter. So let's bring clarity to it. When we talk of a bank, the understanding in the ordinary meaning of it, the literalists would understand it to mean that a bank, properly so called, with a license from the Bank of Ghana, own and being in operation. So I would now, with the benefit of this background, ask you very specifics, because you were definitely part of the manifesto committee that put
An assumption.
Pardon?
An assumption.
Okay, so then let me put it direct. Were you part of the manifesto committee on gender?
No, please.
Were you at all involved?
Not really.
Have you read the gender policy of your party as contained in its manifesto? Have you?
Yes.
Have you read this aspect?
Yes.
Very well. So, bank, what is your understanding of what you read, the Women's Bank? What is your understanding?
It is capacitating women to be able to be economically independent and also build their businesses to reduce vulnerability from where I come from.
So it means that the state is going to be a promoter of...
Yes.
So the state would promote the registration of a company called Women's Bank, correct?
Mr. Chair, I had earlier stated that a part of it is also the Ministry of Finance work. And so some of the details will go into the ministry's work.
So the Ghanaian woman should expect that a bank will be established, licensed by the Bank of Ghana, with branches in all districts as you indicated.
Yes, a bank will be established.
Should they expect that bank to be established this year, next year, or when?
I think this will be clearer when the Minister of Finance comes to read the budget. I'm expecting that it will be captured.
Now, Honorable Member, let me ask you this. You are the Member of Parliament for Krowo. That is Teshi.
Wa.
Krowo is Nungwa, and then Lejokuku is
Teshi.
Right. Do you live in Teshi or you live in Nungwa?
I live in Nungwa.
You live in Nungwa. Where you live in Nungwa, is it your personal property or is it rented property?
Personal property.
When you say personal property, do you mean you bought the land and built on it, or you bought the house, the property?
Bought the land and built on it.
The land you bought, did you buy it from the chiefs or a third-party developer?
I bought it from a chief.
Chairman, I shall bring my questions to an end on this point and thank my respected colleague for her patience and so far the commitment. Count on your experience thus far in managing the ministry. All other matters shall be pursued on the floor of the House. I wish you well. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ranking Member and the Minority Leader. Honorable members, let me recognize the presence of our revered chiefs, opinion leaders, and some elders here to give moral support to the nominee. First on my list is His Royal Majesty, King Professor Odaifio Wellenchi III, Paramount Chief of the Nungwa Traditional Area and President of the Greater Accra Regional House of Chiefs. Ngenge Tetewaka III, Paramount Chief of the Pram Pram Traditional Area. We have Becholo Ni Ashite Akamfram the third, Teshi Manche, Ni Otukwe the second, Nungwa Adontin, a representative of the Numo Gbobu Wulomo Shiche. We have Janet Momo Oakley. She's the mother of the nominee. We have Reverend Dr. Benjamin Kwame Danso, Chairman, NDC Krowa constituency. The clergy, Nungwa. We also have Major Christine Oko and the spouse. We have Dr. Afisa Zakaria, Chief Director, Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. We have members of the civil society organizations here. And we have honorable assembly members of Krowa. Is that correct? Krowa, very well. Municipal Assembly. Bear with me. I am unaware. Let me use the opportunity to thank the nominee for attending upon the committee and providing answers to questions posed. Surely, you would hear from the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Grateful.
You are hereby discharged. Our revered guests, it is time to invite the next nominee to take the seat. Our revered guests, can you humbly take leave of us? so that we can proceed with the next nominee. Honourable members, meeting call to order. Honourable members, meeting call to order. I proceed to call upon the clerk to administer the oath.
I hereby administer the oath.
I, Elizabeth Ofuswejari, Swear by the Almighty God
swear by the Almighty God
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
that the evidence I shall give before this committee
touching the matter in issue shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much, Honorable. You may.
Thank you very much, Honorable Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare. You are welcome.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Can you tell the committee briefly about yourself?
Thank you very much. I am Elizabeth Ofosu-Ajare, born Elizabeth Ejay Mensah some 50 years ago to lawyer and Mrs. Ejay Mensah. I started my primary education at Ridge Experimental Primary School, where I sat for the common entrance, and by age 11, I was on my way to St. Monica Secondary School, where I obtained my O and A-level certificates. From there, I proceeded to University of Science and Technology, now Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, and obtained a BA Hons in Social Sciences. Still following my dream of becoming a lawyer, I enrolled at the University of Ghana, where I read law and graduated with an LLB in 2002. I continued to the Ghana School of Law, where I got my BL and was called to the bar in 2004, some 20 years ago. I have since obtained an MA in International Relations and an LLM in Alternative Dispute Resolution. Honorable Chair, I am third of 10 siblings, all of whom are ladies, and doing various things in the country. I am married to Dr. Lawrence Ofosu-Ajare, and we have Lawrence and Lauren. In 2020, I was privileged to represent the people of Techuma North, and they renewed my mandate in 2024. In the world of work, I started my practice at Holy Trinity Chambers in Kumasi, a law firm founded by the astute Sir Justice Dennis Ejay. I rose to become a partner of the firm. I have worked for Legal Aid. I've served on a lot of boards. And in 2013, I was appointed Ghana's Minister for Tourism, Culture, and Creative Arts. In 2017, when we left power, I set up Elizabeth Law Center. And now, I've been nominated for the position of Minister for Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry. And I'm before you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very, very much. We'll proceed with questions from the committee, starting with Honorable Stephen Amoah.
Thank you, Chairman. Congratulations, Honorable. I'm sure for the President to nominate you, he's been able to assess your capability, and that element of meritocracy was key for you to be here. So I'm sure issues that we are going to raise here, you are going to demonstrate to the world and Ghanaians that the President did not make any mistake. My first question, I want to find out your position on 1D, 1F. Do you believe in that concept? How it has helped Ghana? Are you going to continue or you are going to discontinue? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's my first question. Should I proceed or?
You know, the question is 3 in 1. When you ask a question, you allow the nominee to answer. Then you ask another question.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. That was what I wanted to clarify.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for the question. 1D1F is a program for Ghanaians by the government of Ghana. It has its pluses and minuses. For the pluses, the 1D1F set up factories where individuals could add value to our raw materials. And these agro producing factories started in Aboche that government capped their interest rate at 20%, and government promised to pay 10% for them, which was a very good program. But somewhere along the line, the interest rate shot to 35%. So now the problem the companies have is who pays the difference of 15%, because they have already sold their products calculated at an interest of 10%. And one thing government has also not been able to do is to pay the extra 10% that it promised these manufacturers. They also have the issue of raw materials, and we know that issue of raw material availability did not start today. It's been there for long, and it has worried our industry. That is why our industries have not grown to the levels we want. So these are the challenges of the 1D1F, but there is always a solution to problems. It is good that it has started. Now that we know the challenges, how are we going to solve it going forward? I see the solution in the 24-hour economy. Because, Honorable Chair, in the 24-hour economy, businesses are going to receive incentives. In the 24-hour economy, agribusiness is going to play a key role. And in the agribusiness role, we are going to do commercial contract farming. The commercial contract farming is going to solve the raw materials problem to a very large extent. In so doing, these factories that have signed on the 1D1F, I'm sure will sign on the 24-hour economy and get a benefit of the raw material availability. They'll get the benefit of the tax holidays. They'll get the benefit of the stimulus packages they will get. And I think that it is Ghana. These industries are not political. They are looking for what a country can do for them. What the NPP did for them, they have taken it. What the NDC will add to them will make them even better. So I think that the implementation of the 24-hour economy will solve most of these problems that the 1D1F programs suffered. And at the end of the day, Ghana will be better for it. Thank you.
Chairman, I have a follow-up question with respect to what our honorable member has just presented. Chairman, honorable member nominee has stated a couple of challenges. One, some 10%, if I heard her right, and as a other 15% that have been a challenge or have been challenges to 1D1F actors. And then she's saying that it will take the 24-hour economy to address those challenges.
Honorable Stephen Amwa.
So the question following up is that...
Very well. Ask your question.
Is that twofold. What will be the percentage of 24-hour economy to our GDP under your government? And how much have you earmarked to deal with the 15 and the 10% in terms of nominal values? Thank you very much, Chairman.
Very well. I will allow the nominee to answer the question, but I will treat it as a substantive question. Thank you very much. Proceed to answer.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, the solution to the difference between the capped rate and the 15% will be to renegotiate these loans. because as a lawyer, I've had the opportunity to renegotiate loans. Even though they agree on a certain percentage, the law can go bad for certain reasons and it will be renegotiated. So I think we need to renegotiate those loans. Again, I have instructions to work closely with the Minister for Finance to see what package will be available for these industry players so that they will be able to contribute positively to our GDP. I may not be able to give you the exact percentage of our GDP that the contribution will be, but I hope that it will be substantial. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. My second question, substantive question, has got something to do with trade balance. 2016, Ghana's trade balance was negative 2.3. As of the end of last year, which is the record we have, it has moved to 4.6%. We know our challenges are profoundly stemming from the fact that we have issues with import and export. And these are core areas when it comes to trade ecosystem. What do you have in place for Ghanaians to deal with this export-import issues where Ghana has been seen as import-driven economy? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for the beautiful question. In order to improve our trade balance, we have to work on the production of raw materials in this country. I have indicated that under the agribusiness, we are going to do contract commercial farming, and it's going to make available raw materials in Ghana. If we get raw materials in Ghana, two things will happen. Firstly, our importation of the raw materials will reduce, and we know what happens to our trade balance when we are importing more. When we are, importing less. And so, when we have raw materials in Ghana and we import less, it will be good for us. Two, the raw materials coming into this country are what give us the problem with our foreign exchange. So that one also be catered for. Once we have the raw materials in the country, the essence is value addition. So when we add value to our raw materials, it will also decrease the number of the finished product that we import. So the import will reduce in two folds. The import of raw materials will decrease. The import of the finished product will also decrease because we'll be having them in country. With the 24-hour economy again, more production will happen and our exports will improve. If we are exporting more, it shows that we are getting more foreign exchange. Again, we have, these are in respect of non-traditional exports. We also be looking at adding value to our traditional exports like cocoa and gold, because since time immemorial, we've been exporting our raw beans. With agri-processing, we can process our gold in two folds, semi-processed and then final process. We can have the semi-processed materials by, for example, if you have cocoa, adding value to make it powder, exporting it for same to be used for chocolate or drinks. We can also add value to a finished product like chocolate. And so if we are now adding value to our traditional exports, in addition to our non-traditional exports, you know what will happen to our export numbers. That is how I seek to improve our trade balance. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, my next question is not three. It's my last one, please. Mr. Chairman, I want the honorable nominee.
Honorable Stephen Amwa, remember you have a follow-up question. One follow-up question.
No, what it means is that you have a follow-up question on each question. So
also, I can ask.
Do you have a follow-up on this?
Chairman, honestly, she answered the question very well.
Very well. So your last question.
Yes. We all know that one of the factors confronting Ghanaian businesses, apart from the fact that we have, as described by experts, that we have weak entrepreneurial ecosystems, is the fact that Ghanaians as entrepreneurs find it very difficult to compete globally. I mean, let's be very honest. They always complain about Chinese, Indians, and co. taking over businesses and even going to retailing which is against the law. And we all always concentrate on the systematic risk factors, being the macroeconomic risk factors and also capital. But I think there's an issue with company-specific risk factors being unsystematic. What is this factor? What does it entail? And what will you do when we are talking about companies or entrepreneurs-specific risk factors in this country, apart from capital that they need? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, for that question. Some of the company risk factors go to capacity. Most of them lack capacity. And so when I'm giving the nod, I will ensure that we build their capacity in this area, and this will go a long way. Even though you have mentioned access to finance, we know that this is very key. And so I'll be dealing with the Minister for Finance to see how we are able to make available finance for these companies to do their businesses and for the business environment to thrive. Because, you know, as a government, if you do all these things, it looks like you are helping the entrepreneurs. But at the end of the day, you are creating jobs and you are stabilizing your city and you're having a strong economy. So I think that this should be dealt with. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Chairman,
Honorable
thank you. I think I'm okay. At this point, I can only ballyhoo you. All the best. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I will give the floor to Honorable Befi.
Thank you very much, our wife. Thank you very much. Hey, congratulations. Thank you very much. The chairman, the concept of free zones has come to stay. I guess you know about it. And Ghana's practice of free zones has been extremely different from what happens in the whole worldwide. We are practicing the two-tier system of free zones, where we practice the enclave system and the single factory system. This has not been good for the country over the period because Ghana is losing a lot. How best can you work with the Free Zones Authority to streamline the free zone system so that we operate only the enclave system, which happens everywhere in the world? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Free zones is the way to go if you are interested in our export promotion. And so I would do well to work closely with the Free Zones Authority to help them work at their laws. We use legal frameworks for these things to happen. And so if you have given the opportunity for single factory operation and the enclave is the way to go, our legal framework should be strict and good enough to take care of all these things. So I'll be working closely with the authority to ensure that we have the proper legal framework for this to thrive. Thank you.
So on this note, it is clearly, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that you know that the free zones concept and the law, Act 504/1985, has become very outmoded. I mean, it's not consistent with what happens in the whole worldwide free zones ecosystem. So how best will you also help in amending the laws of free zones and or trying to review the laws to make it very relevant to modern day free zones and special economic zone system? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I think my answer can be found in the previous answer I gave. Law is dynamic. Things change, times change. And so you need to change your law to reflect the current conditions of a country. And it's tried learning that this law is outmoded. So I'll work closely with the Free Zones Authority and Parliament to ensure that we promulgate a law or we amend this law to suit the needs of our time. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam Elizabeth Ofusojare, you are in the House.
Honorable
Mrs. Ofusojare, Mrs. Very important, our wife. She's a wife of Kufuridia, so our wife. Very important. So you were in the House when the former Minister of Trade and Industry submitted a proposal on import restrictions on 22 different commodities to the House. The essence was to try as much as possible to help to streamline the systems. I mean, what we operate in Ghana, so that we're able to restrict unnecessary importations of certain things that can easily be manufactured in Ghana. What is your opinion on limiting the importation of certain commodities to reduce the outflow of foreign exchange?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I know this has come about as a result of stakeholder consultation, as a result of evidence of practice. If I get the opportunity and I go to the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry, I'll also have the benefit of the reasons why these commodities have been listed. And then I should be able to give an informed opinion after I've looked at the situation as it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'll proceed to give the floor to Honorable Atamils.
Mr. Chair, please, it's left my last question. So,
please, this is the third question.
No, this is
if you have
it was a follow-up,
if you have a follow-up, the first question was a substantive question.
Yes.
The second question was on the law.
Yeah.
And then the third question that you have asked is the
proposal. No, the second question on the free zones was a follow-up.
Go ahead and ask.
So this is the last question, sir. Thanks so very much. Honorable Mrs. Ofusojari, our wife. Yes, very, very proud. The concept of the African Continental Free Trade Area has come to stay. It's like social media. Nobody can do anything about it. The interesting thing is that out of the 55 countries in Africa, 54 countries have accepted the agreement. And we believe that there's a need for us to push the agenda of intra-African trade. What strategies will you use to improve intra-African trade, taking into consideration the favorable conditions created by the African Continental Free Trade Area? Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair, for the question of AFTA. Fortunately, the headquarters of AFTA is in Ghana. So it is right that we must take opportunity and then do business. We need a lot of integration to do. Economic integration, trade integration, security integration, and in certain cases, we have to synchronize our laws to make the trading more interesting. And you know that if I want to pick each one and answer, it will take forever. But the fact of mentioning this will show you that I know exactly what it is. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, on this note, I want to formally, on behalf of Koforidua, congratulate you in advance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's now the turn of Honorable Samuel Atamis.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Madam Nominee, I know you do an awesome job. I have worked under you and the Ministry of Tourism, and I know you do very, very well. As the Member of Parliament for Komenda, Edina Iguafo Abrim, I want to ask you about Komenda Sugar Factory. The last government tried to make it into a white elephant. What has been your brief on Komenda Sugar Factory, and what is the way forward?
Thank you very much. I've had a quick
Nominee, you can proceed to answer the question, but take away the white elephant aspect of it.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. White elephant is duly taken away. I have walked quickly through the ministry by a briefing I received about Komenda Sugar Factory. I've been told that as we speak, it is not operational. And one of the major challenges the factory has suffered was the lack of raw material to feed that industry and some missing parts. I've also been told that monies were released to solve these problems. And the total health of the factory should be done after an evaluation. And so I will work to ensure that we know the actual health of the factory. But it's obvious that we need that factory to work for the benefit of Ghanaians, because we are importing about $500,000 worth of sugar into this country. And so once I take office, I will work together with the ministry to ensure that we assess the health of the factory and do whatever it takes to put the factory on stream by whatever means to ensure that Ghana benefits from that monumental project.
Madam, how long do you foresee that it may take for us to operationalize this factory? I have paid a visit to the place. Everything is intact, and we are ready to see it operational. So what is the timeline that you would give to the good people of Komenda, Edina, Eguafo, Abrem?
Thank you very much for the question. The answer is expeditious timeline. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I think I have all the answers that I need. Thank you. And Madam, you do an excellent job.
Thank you very much. It's now the time for Honorable Alassane Omar.
Thank you, Chairman. Madam Nominee, congratulations.
Thank you.
Listening to you shows you will do a marvelous job at the ministry, helping His Excellency John Dramani Mahama to reset the agenda. My question is about the resetting agenda. In this, according to the NDC manifesto, what is your take on the amendment of the 2020 Act 1014 in order to encourage and promote businesses at Kokumpe, Kumasi Magazine, Abosokai, and among others, which collapsed under the elsewhere Nana Akufo-Addo administration? Thank you.
Which act?
Act 20, Act 2020, and which was amended. Customs Amendment Act. Oh, no, I have it. It's stated here. Oh, it's not.
Hello, order. Please, if you are going to refer to a law, refer to the law well. Please, answer the question.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I am excited that I know the law he's referring to. I think it's that portion that deals with the importation of scrapped cars. In the 120-day manifesto of the NDC, that law will be reviewed to improve the businesses of the areas you've mentioned, Kokompe, Magazine, and Abosokai. This will be done with climate change in mind. It will be done with the new automobile industry also in mind. And so a quick look at all these interests will guide us into what will go into the amendment. Thank you.
Any further question?
Chairman, I'm done. I wish her well.
I will
Thank
then
you.
give the floor to Honorable Ritana Odole.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I want to congratulate my GAN students. I call her my GAN student, and she's a very fast learner. Congratulations on your nomination by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Honorable nominee, I want to find out as you are going to the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, what are some of the plans you would have for women in the informal sector, as well as persons with disability in these sectors, to enable them to also have opportunities in this industry?
Thank you very much for this question, Honorable Chair. Fortunately, the Parliament of Ghana has passed the Affirmative Action Law. That's the Affirmative Action Act, Act 1121, 2024. The whole essence of the law, if I take you with the greatest respect to Section 1, with your kind permission, I read. The object of this act is to ensure the attainment of gender equity in the political, social, economic, educational, and cultural spheres of the society. With your kind permission, I move to 3. The government will promote policies and programs to redress the political, economic, and educational gender imbalance in the public and private sectors. It is the dream of Excellency John Dramani Mahama to implement the Affirmative Action Act. There is going to be a policy on women at the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry. The whole idea is to promote women to upscale what they do in the industry so that we can find a lot of women at the top of industry. It is tried learning that women have not gone that high. And so there will be clear-cut policies to ensure that this happens. 1, we will deal with access to capital. 2, we will deal with mentoring. The fact that we say there are not too many women at the top means that there are some there anyway. So there will be a mentoring program that allows them to mentor young entrepreneurs to come up and also scale up. There will also be incentives for industry that have a lot of women or women-led industry. Fortunately, we have the Women Bank coming up. This is also going to cushion women. The Women's Bank basically is a bank that is set up to help women. The beauty of the bank is that only women work in that bank. I keep on saying, to wait. If somebody will beat you to cry, it will not be the same way as you have decided to cry. Women know women's problem. And so all Women's Bank, we know our problems, we know our strength, we know our weaknesses, we know how far we hold our hands and go together. So the implementation of the Women's Bank program will also help women in industry to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, you are entitled to a follow-up question.
Honorable nominee, I didn't hear you touch on the persons with disability. What form of support are they going to get through the informal sector? There are a number of them that I work with, and they are into production of different kinds of things, but they do not have support. So can we hear something on that? Thank you.
The assurance is that they are part of the vulnerable group, and there will be policies to bring them up to speed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. I wish to congratulate you once again, and I'm rest assured and sure that you are capable and able to deliver in the ministry that His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is appointing you to. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the time of Honorable Kwadwo Nkrumah.
Chairman, thank you. I would like to, on behalf of Pope John Senior High School, congratulate the nominee for some specific reasons. Mr. Ofuswe Jare will be pleased to know this. Chairman, I have just a few questions. My first is on Act 680, the Venture Capital Trust Fund Act, passed in 2004. And the objective of that act is to create a vehicle that the state can use to support the entrepreneurial ecosystem From about 2009 to even 2024, both the MPP and the NDC have departed from the use of the Venture Capital Trust Fund as a mainstream vehicle and have resorted to other ad hoc vehicles. My question, are you minded to depart from this recent approach and go back to the use of the Venture Capital Trust Fund? And if so, what will you do differently to ensure that it gets the kind of resources required so that it can provide the capital and technical assistance to entrepreneurial ecosystem in this country?
Thank you very much for your question, Honorable Chair. Venture capital, as you have stated, is a trust fund that aids in, that helps in the production of capital to promote small, medium-scale enterprises. It is good, it is still in our law to use them to fund small and medium-scale enterprises. So I think that I'll have a discussion with the Minister for Finance so that a good budget is allotted to the venture capital to enable us to do what it's supposed to do. All the same, other agencies have come up for the funding, and I don't think that we have to stop them for the venture capital to thrive. I'm sure some of them can coexist, and it will mean more funding for these projects. Because interestingly, some of these projects are receiving grants from external donors, and so it's okay to keep them. It's fine to resource venture capital so that we get a lot of diverse source of funding to take care of the agencies.
Chairman, I have a follow-up to that question. The operators in the private equity and the venture capital space argue that they have challenges with getting good pipelines because the average Ghanaian entrepreneur sometimes doesn't want to come into that space. And then they've also got challenges with capacity. Do you have in mind any strategies to help deal with these challenges within that private equity and venture capital space?
I'm excited that your answer is even in your question. They lack capacity building. I have stated in my previous answers that capacity building will be a thing for the ministry. So I'm happy that you are bringing it up. The more it comes up, the more convinced I am that capacity building is a challenge and we should take it seriously. So I thank you for bringing it up again.
Chairman, my second substantive question, with your leave, is got to do with the non-traditional export space. The non-traditional export space is fast growing. It's becoming a major employer within the export space, averaging about 3.1 billion, I think, in the last about 7 years or so. Do you have any strategies in mind to do better than this 3.1 billion average within the non-traditional export space, at least within the next 4 years?
Thank you very much. There is certainly policies to ensure that we do better than this, because that is the advantage we have as a country. Our agriculture is great, and the business side must yield the positive results that we are looking for. It is obvious that most of these companies doing the exports are doing one shift. The 24-hour economy seeks to do one industry, 3 shifts, 3 people. So I can see that with the availability of raw materials by our production, we are even going to produce more and export more and increase on this number, because we've done it before. If they are doing 3.1 billion and we are doing 3 times this, I know it will progress steadily. It's not going to happen the next day. The 3 shifts will not happen tomorrow. It will happen eventually. And so when the 3 shift is at full capacity, we are looking at 3 times what we are doing. Or conservatively, let's say we are looking at 2.5 times what we are doing. So if you are able to do the projects, which I'm sure we will do, because I'm soon, Honorable Chair, going to launch the Feed the Industry program. That is going to make sure that we produce more raw materials, availability of same in town, to enable us feed the industry so that we can do better than what we have currently. I thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. A quick follow-up on this one. This
very well.
This
so let me ask the nominee. You said you will soon be launching a program. That is based on the assumption that you are approved.
Exactly, Honorable Chair. In the likely event that I'm approved, I'll launch this project. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So go ahead with your supplementary.
Yeah, Chairman, my follow-up question is to deal with the demand side of the non-traditional export question. If the 24-hour economy is successful, it will deal with the supply side. Do you have any ideas to stimulate demand some more on the non-traditional export side within the international markets?
Extremely grateful for this question, Honorable Chair. Once we produce more, the whole idea is to export. Fortunately for us as a country, there are already trade agreements. I think I've been asked a question on AFTA. There is also a trade agreement between the UK and us, a trade agreement between the EU and us. We are going to leverage on these trade agreements to promote our exports. And so we will drive the demand for these products to make sure that we have the needed market for what we produce, even as we do the 24-hour economy. Certainly, the whole idea of providing jobs to our teeming unemployed youth is this project. And so, as we produce, we are looking for markets, leveraging on the agreement that we have to ensure that our products are exported also. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable, you have exhausted your questions. I will give the floor to Kofi Mafo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My first question to the nominee. I want us to go back to 1D, 1F. And you mentioned capacity building. And then you mentioned that raw materials are part of the reason why 1D, 1F is not shining. I want to find out from you this aspect of exemption that has been back and forth, about 45 companies looking for exemption within the 1D, 1F. Since 2021, I want to find out if you are giving the nod, what are you going to do about this 1DF exemption?
Thank you very much for that question. I have been briefed that there were a few challenges with the exemptions. Among other things, some of the product that found itself on the exemption list did not qualify. And so when it came up, there was issue of transparency and all of that. When I get the nod, I will look at all of that and come back to Parliament based on what I have seen, what has been corrected, what needs to be done, and I can assure you that the right thing will be done, and the correct things must be done. If we have exemption for A, it must be A and A alone, so that it does not affect our budget negatively. But once we have promised the exemption on a product, I think it is fair and right that we give same. I thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my follow-up. I want to ask this question, and the question is, you indicated that raw materials has been a problem for not only 1D, 1F, but for export manufacturing. So I want to find out from you, when they came in for the exemption, when these companies came in for the exemption, raw materials were taken out completely. But here we are, we lack the raw material to start production. What are you going to do with raw material exemption for this 1D, 1F program?
For starters, I've stated that the production of raw materials is key in this country. That gives us lasting solution. and it gives us the advantage of a value chain in our production. We know that if you are even importing more of these raw materials, we are not taking the benefit of the value chain in our production. We need to create jobs with these production of raw materials, and I indicated that when I'm giving the nod, I'll launch the Feed the Industry project to ensure that we have these raw materials. When I go into the ministry, I will look at the arguments that have been made, the calculations that have been made, do consultation, then I'll be able to come up as a lead in a team, what best we can do with the subsidies or the exemption on raw materials. But from here, without any argument, without what happens to our numbers, I'll not be able to say that we should take it off or keep it. But I believe in constructive decisions. I believe in decisions born out of research and consultation. Once this is done, I am sure what comes out will be the best for a country, because we need these raw materials to work. Thank you.
Honorable nominee, per your manifesto, NDC manifesto, you propose incentives to support the private sector. That is part of your manifesto. Fortunately, you are going to be the trade minister, and the Akufo-Addo government brought in Ghana Enterprises Agency, which is seeking to assist micro, small, and medium enterprises, and then also look at gender issue as well, youth, women, and then person with disability. I want to find out from you, what are you going to do? Are you going to improve on the existing Ghana Enterprises Agency that has been able to sustain over thousands of people within the period that it was formed? Are you going to continue with the program, or you have a special initiative for small, medium enterprises?
Thank you very much. The LI for GE, LI 2470, even deals with micro. And so I think it is a law for Ghana. It's an institution in Ghana. And all we can do is to improve. I don't see anything wrong with it as I sit here. But anything that is being done can be done well, as you have said. And so, for starters, it's a law. It's not, the LIC is not being repealed. And so I think that we can continue on that tangent. But you see, it was originally MBSSI. So GA, if you ask me, it's more like a rebranded MBSSI to do good. So it is not something new for us to cancel it. It's been rebranded to do more than MBSSI was doing. And I think that it is fair for us to also improve on this so that we are moving forward as a country. It is for Ghana, and Ghana must always win. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Follow-up.
You have a follow-up on this?
Yes, Honor. Yeah.
Thank you. Go ahead.
No, I've done all one. Yeah. Honorable nominee, talking about Ghana Enterprises Agencies and the umbrellas that is controlling, I want to find out from you exactly what do you have in mind when we're talking about enterprises agencies. We're talking about micro, small, and medium enterprises. That is the bedrock of our export position. What exactly do you have for micro, small, and medium enterprises?
Thank you very much for realizing that it's umbrella that is controlling it. Please, your answer to the question.
I'll try and answer your question as much as I understand. if you say, what do I have in mind by talking about micro, small, medium scale industries, it's already decided by law. The LI 2470 states what enterprise is micro, what is small, what is medium. It uses the number of staff you have and the capital you have. So if you are talking about micro, you are dealing with about 1 to 3 staff, an amount of 150,000 to I think 3 million. Then small scale is from 3 to I think 30. The law is here. We will do well to resource persons who fall under various categories. And at the end of the day, women, women, women again. Because of the affirmative action, we must be conscious of training more women. We must be conscious of giving access to more women in the space of the economy. And so we'll continue to do their mandate and even do it better. Still thinking about the vulnerable, like the disability, people with disability, to work well with them. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No,
Please, you are not entitled to. You said this is your supplementary, last supplementary question. So please, I'll give the floor to Honorable Muhammad Shaibu.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Council, congratulations.
Thank you, Honorable Chair.
In recent times, we saw the exit of blue chip companies from our market. Painfully, they didn't go far. They were just hanging around our neighbors, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, and Togo. Aside the high interest rates and the falling fortunes of the city, there are also business bottlenecks and bureaucracies. The NDC manifesto has stated clearly that we will reduce bureaucracies, promote transparency, simplify administrative and regulatory processes, and above all, hold the rule of law in business. For me, these are key aspects of promoting business, a clean business environment. How would you help the government of the NDC to implement this, to promote business? Thank you.
Thank you very much. It is correct that cost of doing business in Ghana is high. Cost of production is equally high. And so, under a 24-hour economy policy, the government is going to do some interesting things that reduces the cost of doing business and cost of production. Government will be looking at time of use metering, because industry players have complained about the cost of electricity. And with the 24-hour economy, the time you use electricity will state how much you pay. If you are using electricity in the evening, you are paying less. If you put all together, you are reducing the cost of your electricity and water. And so, cost of production will come down. Again, with the 24-hour economy, you'll be producing more. And you know, the more you produce, the cheaper it is. As we speak now, most industries are running one shift. And even in the one shift, they are not able to produce to full capacity. With the availability of
honourable members, order. Let's listen to the nominee in silence.
With the availability of raw materials, we'll be able to feed our industries. You know, these companies live because they have to import raw materials. And so if we put all these things together, in addition to the fact that as for the rule of law, you know, it's synonymous to Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Perfect. And in this case, I'm stating his attributes. It is not in comparison with anybody. 100 people can be good. He's good, and he's synonymous to the rule of law. So you see, anytime he's in power, you can go to bed with the issues of rule of law. Transparency is going to happen. At the Ministry of Trade, there will be a desk for facilitation so that people who want to do business will get their trade issues facilitated easily. I think all these put together, trade will boom. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further question?
Yes, just one more. Honorable Chairman, and thanks for indulging me, Chairman. Council, I just want to pick up on where my good friend from Commander ended. And growing up, you would hear Operation Feed Yourself. You hear eat what you grow and grow what you eat. In recent times, we've had our import bill of sugar and other food items rising so high. Again, the NDC manifesto clearly stipulates an agenda of made in Ghana. And for me, this is one surest way of curtailing some imports to the system. How would you help promote the Made in Ghana agenda? Thank you.
Thank you very much. If we eat what we grow, our imports will come down. And so if a lot of people were eating yam like I do, the importation of rice will come to a barest minimum. If they enjoy plantain fufu like I do, then the importation of other products will come down. And so we are going to encourage ourselves to eat what we grow. You've also spoken about the promotion of made in Ghana goods. I'm excited to tell you that when I was Ghana's Minister for Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, I did this big time. I promoted made in Ghana goods in Ghana and out of Ghana. Anytime we did our fairs, I invited some industry players to come with me to showcase what we have as a country. I'll even do it better and on a larger scale when I'm giving the nod to become Ghana's Minister for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. But I'll also encourage Ghanaians to wear what we produce, to patronize made in Ghana goods. If that happens, again, our importation of some of these foreign things will be minimal. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman, I wish
fortunately, there are industries that are coming up that produce some of these spare parts in Ghana. We also encourage them, give them what it takes for them to also come up with some of these parts locally. Thank you.
Your second question.
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you very much. So my second question is, given the significance of the African Continental Free Trade Area, how do you plan to maximize Ghana's position within the regional trade bloc to boost intra-Africa trade? And what specific actions will you take to support the Ghanaian businesses in taking advantage of the opportunities under the African Continental Free Trade Area, particularly in the context of improving trade relations with neighboring countries?
Thank you very much. 1.4 billion people, a total GDP of 3 trillion. It is excellent that we leverage on AFTA. Because if we are able to do this, we are going to improve our various economies. I hope to do this by capacity building. The Honorable Speaker asked, we had an informal discussion previously about AFTA.
Honorable nominee, His Honorable Stephen Amwa.
Hey, I think her own parents call him Sticker. He said it. So Honorable Stephen Amwa, sorry. Dr. Stephen Amwa, popularly known as Sticker.
Very well.
Yes. We had a discussion about AFTA. Take advantage of AFTA. It's capacity building. Most of our companies don't even have capacity to do this. 2, it's to synchronize some of our laws. You know that even though we say free movement of goods and services, some countries have banned the importation of a product that you want to export. And so we need to work on our security, we need to work on our economies, we need to work on our laws to take advantage of this. And since the headquarters is in Ghana, I will take an interest in working with these countries on diplomatic lines to ensure that there is free movement of these goods and services indeed, so that we can take advantage. In respect of the 24-hour economy, our business is to take advantage of AFTA and other trade agreements so that we can export most of the things that we produce. And so I think that these are some of the measures that we'll put in place to ensure that we benefit from AFTA.
Thank you very much. Your last question.
Thank you, Chair. So a friend tells me the 24-hour economy is abstract. And we are also considering issues of synergizing industrialization and the trade sector. And then looking at the one district, one factory initiative, how do you intend to bring some value addition to all of this?
Thank you very much. There are low-hanging fruits with 24-hour economy. And I'll use my constituency as an example, Techiman North. We have a company called Oberpark. It is into the business of adding value to onions, ginger, tomato, and what have you. We also have Tubodom. We have Arowa, where we produce a lot of tomato and pepper. These are rain-fed agriculture practices. Again, they are not into commercial contract farming. Can you imagine that under the 24-hour economy, when you give me the nod and I launch the Feed the Industry program, and we are able to resource farmers within this enclave to engage in commercial contract farming in tomato and pepper, Oberpark will automatically do a 24-hour shift. 1 job, 3 people, 3 shifts. It will happen because there will be availability of onions, so much so that 1 shift cannot work on it. You need more shifts to do it. So you see how practical this is. and it will create a lot of jobs in that locality. Akomadan has a lot of tomatoes. If we engage them to enter into commercial contract farming, they will be able to feed Overpark, and then the 3 shifts will happen in earnest with availability of raw materials. So this is a practical policy, easy to execute, and we are going to do exactly that.
Thank you very much. You have exhausted your 3 questions, but you want to follow up on the 3rd one in relation to 24-hour economy. Please do.
Yes, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for your goodness. Mr. Chair, just to find out in very plain terms, what does it mean to say we have a 24-hour economy?
Thank you very much. I would say that relative to the Ministry of Trade, Agribusiness, and Industry, we will have a 24-hour economy when our industries are producing around the clock. And we've said that that will happen in 3 shifts. And so, if you have Overpark and other companies, manufacturing companies, working 3 shifts, they'll be working within the 24-hour economy. That is in terms of the ministry that I've been nominated to head. In other economies also, or in other areas like banking, like other government institutions, they can do more than a shift. The passports, the DVLA, they are all companies that can, or they are all agencies that can do the 24-hour economy by working more than 1 shift. And so basically, the 24-hour economy is when we are all working and we are working around the clock. That is jobs that can be done around the clock. It doesn't mean that if you are a tomato farmer, you should be working 24 hours in the bush in the night where there are no lights. But it will happen to where you can work 3 times. It will happen at where you can work 3 shifts. And so we say 1 job, 3 people, 3 shifts. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of... Yes.
Okay. Just wish you well, and I pray everything goes well for you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's now the turn of Honorable Patrick Yaobuama.
Thank you very much, Chairman. And let me congratulate my sister on her appointment. But I have 3 very difficult questions for her. Let's see how she deals with them. That's how come I'm hacking my stuff well, so I can have a very close look at her. Lizzie, we want to increase government revenue, and the best way to do that is to increase our exports, which will go a long way to have a stronger or better effect on our currency. You know, our CD has been performing not too well on the international market. The trade figures between Ghana and the EU, and even Ghana, America, and other trade partners have not been doing so well. There was a 3% dip in our revenues between the EU and Ghana. It was reported by the outgoing minister, Honorable K.T. Amon, between when he addressed the Ghana-EU delegation in Ghana. Most of the issues they raised were on standardization, child labor issues, the use of chemicals, some unapproved chemicals in the cultivation of some of our crops, and what have you, I know. What are some of the things we are going to do to reverse these challenges, to ensure that we derive utmost revenues from our exports and to protect our exporters from being banned on the EU and American markets? Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Honorable Chair. Yes, it is right that we need to do the right things to have access to international markets. And so there will be conscious efforts with the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that approved chemicals are used, because at the end of the day, it will be detected. And if you work so hard and your produce and products do not land at the international market as you intend, you'll be doing yourself a disservice. And so we will work on the approved chemicals so that at the end of the day, we will qualify for the standards. Child labor issues must also be addressed through the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. And so I'll be working closely with the Minister for Gender and Social Protection and Children and Social Protection to ensure that the issue of child labor is addressed. As for standardization, we need to up our game as a country. Sometimes, lack of knowledge. And so if we do capacity building, we should be able to fall within the standards. When all these things are done right, our exports will go up, the intended revenues will be received, and then at the end of the day, we will have a stabilized economy. Thank you.
Thank you. Chairman, I don't have a follow-up question on that. I'll go straight to my second question on cross-border trade challenges. Most of our traders go to Togo, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina, and the Sahelian belts to bring in goods onto our market, some from China and the rest of the world. We all know of under-declarations at the ports and other entry points. You can blame the politician, you can blame government officials, high-ranking ones and low-ranking officials, traders, the security agencies. We are all culpable. Minister of Trade, how do you intend collaborating with the security agencies to stem this very bad practice that I just mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Certainly, it will not only be with the law enforcement agencies, it's also be with the Ministry of Finance. I am not an economist, but I know that when we are charged reasonable taxes, people pay. Not everybody is interested in evading tax, but if it becomes burdensome, then there is the attractiveness to evade it. So I think that there should be a national dialogue on our taxation so that many more people will pay. I am sure if the taxes are not that exorbitant and all of them pay, we may get more than we are collecting. So a lot of things has to go in to ensure that people declare exactly what they are bringing into the country, pay the right fees, and it will be much more easier if the taxes are not exorbitant. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't have a follow-up question on that one too, but a very last question, and I'll congratulate my sister. Lizzie, the Exim Bank was set up under the NDC. Roxanne, do you know the question? You are not a member of the committee. The main challenge of the Ministry of Trade today is their low financial support. Since 2014, when EDAIF was converted to the Exim Bank, the ministry relied on their share of 1% from the inspection companies. It was not forthcoming. West Blue came in because of tussles between ministers of trade and finance. It was moved to Ministry of Finance. The Ministry of Trade ought to hire the best technocrats to write the best proposals and have the right dealings with our multilateral and bilateral partners. How are you going to reverse this trend to ensure that you get the best of sources in terms of personnel and even cash from the Ministry of Finance to hire the best to assist you achieve all the laudable objectives under your manifesto, printed in green? Thank you. Congratulations. I'm not going to talk about the Green Book.
Well, instead of a tussle between the ministers of trade and finance, mine will be collaboration between myself and the Minister for Finance. I'm sure in so doing, we'll get all what it takes to implement our manifesto for Ghanaians. I thank you.
Chairman, we will see what we can do. And I wish you the very best.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's now the turn of Honorable Roxanne Nelson Eche Dapamopo.
I'm a bona fide member. Chairman, thank you very much. Oh, that's opposition attack. You know, opposition attack.
Hold on. Speaker, do you know the capacity in which you ask your questions? Please, Honorable Roxanne, proceed.
Chairman, thank you very much. Auntie Lizzie, you are welcome and congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, I know your abilities, and I know that this particular ministry, where the president saw it fit to add agribusiness, you will deliver.
I thank you.
You will deliver. I have 3 issues. I've been associated with the Trade and Tourism Committee for some time, and I understand the issues. 1, in respect of the Ghana Standards Authority, in Act 1078, and all the airlines that we passed for them, including the National Quality Policy, as well as the what we call the Product Certification Guidelines. There's no provision that mandates the GSA to extend the shelf life of products. And yet, GSA in recent times has the penchant for extending the shelf life of products that clearly have expired, to the extent that the Auditor General has taken some of these matters up and reported on them. It's a breach of 1078. What steps will you take as the sector minister to ensure that GSA as a regulator does not indulge in such conduct? Act 1078. Please, 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 please. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Ghana Standards Authority is there to ensure that we abide by standards. It would be ironical for them to be flouting the rules of standards. I have not seen the report, but I'm sure when I'm giving the nod and I assume work at the ministry, I will take note of this dealing and ensure that no illegality is condoned in any of the agencies that will be under me. Thank you.
Any further questions?
Brilliant. Chairman, at it so. My other concern is in respect of reports regarding dwindling revenue mobilization efforts at our ports and across our land borders in respect of the use of ICOMs. It's on record that from 2003, when the then system that was in place, the GCNet system, in 2003, GCNet made 249 million. In 2004, it did 603 million. In 2011, it did 3.7 billion. In 2012, it did 4.7 billion. 2015, it did 9.7 billion. 2018, it did 16.3 billion. But since it got replaced, the performance of the ICOMs, the new system that has been installed, has downsized in terms of performance and revenue generation. As the sector minister, and in consultation with the minister responsible for finance, will you consider reviewing this policy and to reinstate GCNet as it is?
Thank you very much for the question. It is obvious that I've not gone to the ministry yet. Again, it is also obvious that we don't know the reason for the dwindling numbers. There is nothing at this point to tell me the reasons why the numbers have come down. And so once I start work, when I'm giving the nod, I'll look into it and make sure that at the end of the day, Ghana is the winner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any further questions?
Yes. My final question. That's a brilliant answer, I must say. Now, my constituency is South-Dine. We are quite rural. In Peki Agbate especially, we had an agro scheme called the Agbate Farm System. It's in a deplorable state now. That's why I'm happy the agro business has been added to your ministry by way of policy initiatives. Will you consider reviving some of these state-sponsored agro-based farms, like Peki Agbate farms, Kweve Agric Farm, and Kwadaso, Nkranza, and all that? My brother has provided some, especially where support for operating such agro-based businesses are very key to reviving and promoting activities in the rural areas to prevent the rural-urban influx of our youth, and also, as it were, to give oxygen to the 24-hour economy programs. Will you consider doing that for us? I thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. These are some of the programs that I can say yes before I start work, when I'm giving the nod, because already the Feed the Industry project is there, and especially with these farms that have large tracts of land, they are good to go and they can fill in easily, because we are interested in commercial contract farming, and if the facility is there, revamping it shouldn't be a problem at all. I thank you.
Chairman, thank you very much. That will be all for the nominee from me.
Thank you very much. We move to the turn of Honorable Ranking Member. Oh, you just come. I'll come to you. Thank you very much. I now give the floor. Order. Order. I now give the floor to Honorable Ricket Hagan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Honorable nominee, Mrs. Elizabeth Ufosu-Ajare, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Honorable.
Looking at your CV, your experience and background, I know you will do well at the ministry. May God bless you, and I wish you well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable members, for the Minister Designate for Trade, Agribusiness and Industry. The following guests are seated to give her moral support. Nana Kweku Jan Broko II, Ofuman Traditional Council. Ofuma Traditional Council. Nana Yebua Kokua III, Auruwahini and Jasehini of Techima Traditional Council. Nana Fosu Opoku Jiabo II, Kwasi Hini and Maurehini of Techima Traditional Council. Maurehini. Very well, very well. I will base it on your pronunciation and move on. 4. Nana Kwesi Konedu, Aya Suhini. 5. Nana Kwesi Chui Brimpong II, Masidan Hini. Nana Yebua Ameyao II, Timponim Hini. Nana Yebua Ameyao Kokoroko Hini. Nana Intim Abua Tuabore Tuabodom Manhini Tuabodom Manhini Adontihini Techiman Traditional Council. Dr. Lawrence Ufosu-Ajare, husband of the nominee. Most Reverend Father Pius Frimpong, Our Lady of Calvary Grotto, Techiman. Justice Dennis Ajay, Justice of the Court of Appeal. Lawyer Kwame Osu Secretary, President, Ashanti Regional Bar Association. Siblings of the nominee, Chairman Abubakar Sadiq, and Techiman North Constituency Executives. Honorable Annie Osei Okra, Mr. Agolozo, former NDC Chairman, the representative of Guta and representative of Association of Ghana Industries. You are welcome. Okay.
Elizabeth, extend my warmest regards to my Lord Ajay, Dennis Ajay J.A. Extend my warmest regards to him.
Thank you, leader.
I know he's here, but I'm saying extend your warmest regards.
Exactly what
not
I'm
for
going
the
to
records.
Do. Okay. Thank you very much. I'll do exactly that.
Your application granted. extend my warmest regards to him.
Okay, now we know.
The leader is on record by saying not for the record. Our revered guests, you are most welcome. Nominee, we thank you very much for attending upon the committee and answering the questions in a very composed manner. Surely, we'll communicate from the committee's point of view to you. Thank you. You will surely hear from us. You are hereby discharged.
I thank you for having me. I'm so grateful.
Honourable members, we'll take a break and shortly come back.